Hello everyone and welcome to a pretty different video for the channel. You'll see that I don't have the War of the Ring Java client up, and that's because today's video is discussing Kings of Middle-earth expansion and corrupting the Free People's leaders on a standard pool. So I'm not a mathematician by trade, but I'm pretty decent at it, and I would like to show you some little spreadsheets I made for how easy it is to corrupt the Free People's leaders. Keep in mind that all of this math is wildly variant based on the game scenario, so this math was done exclusively with a completely untouched hunt pool. So in the Kings of Middle-earth, there are 5 kings that are added to 5 sovereigns that are added to the Free People. And you draw from the hunt pool to corrupt them. The Dane and Thranduil have 4 corruption resistance, whereas Denethor and Theoden have 3, and King Brand has 2. So he is the most likely to be corrupted. So I'm curious, how likely is he to be corrupted on the first attempt by the Shadow? So this is my little spreadsheet. This here is the hunt pool. So the hunt pool is 2 1s, 2 2s, 3 3s, 2 0s, 2 1 reveals, 1 2 reveal, and then these 2 Cs are the 1 and 2 tiles that are added in the Kings of Middle-earth expansion that have a crown on them. And so I've marked that with a C. Because if you draw a crown, it counts as a 0 and you must stop drawing immediately, and you must select that tile. So if you have 2 eyes in the hunt pool before you draw, you have a 6 out of 14 chance of not drawing what you need to corrupt Brand. So you get 1 draw. That's what this column is. And you have a 2 out of 14 of drawing a crown, and you have a 6 out of 14 of drawing the things that could corrupt Brand. So if you have 1 draw because there were 2 eyes before you took the corruption attempt, you have a 42% chance, almost 43, of corrupting Brand, which is interesting. If you have 3 eyes, some of the time, the first option where you drew a 1 or a 0 early, then becomes a success because you then draw into a 2 or a 3. But sometimes your 2 or 3 becomes a fail because you draw a crown on the second round. So in the end, that means is that there is a 56% chance to corrupt Brand if you take 2 eyes. If you take 2 draws out of the hunt pool because you had 3 eyes. Strangely, if you had 4 eyes, you actually decrease your chances of corrupting King Brand, because both of the things that all the versions that were successes might become fails if you draw a crown, and all of the and then the only thing is you have to have drawn a 1, like a 0 or a 1, then a 0 or a 1, then a 2 or a 3, which is actually less likely than drawing a crown on your third attempt. So that series of events. So if you actually get a slightly dinged for getting 3 draws in your attempt using the standard rules. So I think that's kind of interesting. This is, of course, assuming that you just have this many eyes. I'm not talking about whether you allocate that or not right now. And this is assuming you using the standard rules in the rulebook, not the suggested tournament players rules, which I'll come to in a minute. So let's say you want to corrupt Brand on the very first action of the Shadow player. How many eyes should you allocate so that you have the best chance of corrupting King Brand? So that goes into the statistics of rolling how many eyes on how many dice, which is actually fairly difficult. So I used a program called McDie. It's a free program, pay what you want program from published by Jeff Engelstein, a famed board game ludologist, board game study person. I highly recommend his content. But I used it to just generate a table, and that table I used here. So if you allocate 0 eyes, you have a 28% chance of ending with 0 eyes out of 7 shadow player dice on the first round. But you have a 38% chance, 39, to have 1, 24 to have 2, 8 to have 3, and 1.5 to have 2. So then your chance to corrupt this, given this many eyes, so 0 eyes, you have no chance to corrupt brand. 1 eye, you have no chance to corrupt brand. 2 eyes, you have the 1 draw, which we got from this previous sheet, is 42.9. 56, and then anything 4 and above, it's all the same for the first attempt. So then your chance to corrupt him, given that you allocated 0 eyes, is how likely you were to get a 2 times the likelihood of that, plus the likelihood you get 3 eyes times the likelihood there. And so what you can see here is if you allocate 1 eye, you have a 32% chance of being able to corrupt brand, given that you're fairly likely to roll 1 or 2 more eyes. If you allocate 2 eyes, you're guaranteed that 42% chance, but you might get a 56% chance. So if you're set on this, the most likely option is to allocate 3 eyes, but that's a pretty marginal increase over having 2 eyes. Obviously, you can make the decision for yourself in the game, and as is the common discussion point, the Java gods will be the ones who decide whether you really corrupt brand or not. Or your real life game, I would suspect statistics also lie there. So, but statistics say you have a 50% chance, just a bit over, to corrupt brand on your first draw if you allocate 2 eyes. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I took that and then looked at the tournament rules. So the standard rules are if you have 3 draws, you must draw all 3, and if you get a crown, you must choose it. Whereas the suggested rules at the back of the book are that you draw 1 at a time and decide when you're going to stop. So if we use the tournament rules and assume a player who is dead set on corrupting brand on the first attempt, so they will draw until they corrupt brand for as many draws as they're capable of doing. That gives this table. And the benefit here is that, and for all of these things, I've just made the top option down the tree a 100%, on all others 0. If you've succeeded on the first attempt. And I did that on the previous one for crowns. So if you have 1 attempt, it's the exact same chance. It's 42.9. But actually, if you get 2 draws, you no longer lose any benefit from the second draw on this half, and you only gain from if the first draw was a 0 or a 1, now into a 2. And then on your third attempt, you only gain from this option. So, and you don't lose anything here. So actually it becomes a 62.5% chance to corrupt on 2 draws and a 70% chance to corrupt on 3. So let's put that back into the formula. And you can see that I didn't color code these, but you can see that 2 eyes gives you, if you allocate 1 eye, you have a 33% chance. If you allocate 2 eyes, you have a 56% chance. And if you allocate 3 eyes, you have a 66% chance. You can put it up to a 70 if you allocate 4 eyes, just to guarantee you'll get 3 draws. That seems hilariously way too many, but if there are strategies that people play, and I've been having fun experimenting with, where you just try and corrupt all out the fellowship, and then you move very, very slowly on a military. So this might be something worth considering there, if you were going to go that route. I certainly will be experimenting with it. That'd be kind of fun. So that's it. You get a better than 50% chance for 2 or 3 eyes. The fourth eye really doesn't help a whole lot. Well, that's interesting. So I thought that was kind of fun. Then I thought, well, what about Theoden and Denethor? They have 3 corruption resistance. Let's do the same table for them. So if your chances go down dramatically. You only have 3 3s in the pile instead of 3 2s and 3 3s. So your first draw is only a 21% chance. Your second draw is a 33, and your third puts you almost to 40%. It's interesting that for gaining 3 corruption, you still gain all the way down to the third eye draw. Just a interesting novelty of statistics there. And I guess this is a good time to reiterate. I am by no means a professional at this, but I'm fairly certain my math is correct. So feel free to leave in the comments if and where I made a mistake. So given a 21, a 33, and a 38% chance of corrupting them, how many eyes should you allocate if you're dead set on corrupting, say, Denethor on the first action? Keep in mind, again, this is first action. And assuming the Fellowship doesn't move as the first turn and get hit and draw something out of the pool, these numbers are, asterisk upon asterisk. But given that, if you allocate 0 eyes, you're basically not going to do it. If you allocate 2 eyes or 3 eyes, you have a 30 to 40% chance. 2 to 4 eyes is basically a 30 to 40% chance. So for Brand, it's effectively a coin flip. I think that's a fair simplification. And for Denethor and Theoden, it's a 1 in 3. Is a fair summarization, assuming you allocate 2 eyes, which is not crazy land. Even allocating 1 eye, it's a 1/3 for Brand and a 1 in 6 for Theoden / Denethor. So that's interesting. Okay, well then let's look at that math for the tournament rules, or the suggested rules rather. By no means have the standards been decided for tournaments, seeing as how the game reached pre-orders 2 weeks ago. Anyway, so now the chances, if you can stop when you want, are 21, 36, and 46. So they've gone up a little. I guess I reversed these, but it doesn't matter. They're all fails. So, okay. And then taking that, you have a 20% chance, basically 18, 19% chance with 1 eye, effectively 1/3 with 2, and 40. So the difference here is it exists, but it's not crazy. You can get up to almost a 50% chance to corrupt Denethor or Theoden on the first action. I'm not sure why you would do that, but it's an interesting little thing. So that's most of my analysis here. But part of the reason I was looking at this is, if you're playing Lords of Middle-earth with Kings of Middle-earth, you can have alternate companions that start in their region. In particular, let's go with Legolas and a Hobbit, and you can have Narya Gandalf. If you do that, and Legolas starts in the Woodland Realm, and either Hobbit, will go with Merry, starts in the Shire. If you then draw, so you can decide that those are what you're going to use, do your initial draw. If you draw, I believe it's Aid in Time of Need, your first action can be to play a Palantir, move Legolas. This works with Gimli, but I'm going to go with Legolas. Legolas to to Dale and awaken Brand, bypassing the need to activate the North because the card just activates them or awakens them straight up. And then the reason I say Legolas is because then Legolas on a future turn can move back to Woodland Realm and remove corruption from Thranduil because he actually has the elven symbol on him, whereas Gimli does not. So that'd be kind of fun. If you don't draw that one card, which is something like a 1/3, or rather a 3% chance, something like a 3% chance to draw that card, then you can, instead of putting Legolas into Woodland Realm, or you can decide to do that too, you can put the Hobbit into the Shire. And then any die result will activate the North. I believe it also moves them one down on the track, but it at least activates them. It puts them down on the track. So your first action as Free People can be spending any dice to activate the North. And then your second action as Free People can be using a muster die result to awaken King Brand. So the Shadow player gets one attempt, and that's basically why I was looking at this. Okay, let's assume the Free People rolls a muster result. How likely is the Shadow to corrupt Brand on their one attempt? And I think it's kind of cool that it's effectively a straight coin flip, a slightly favoring the Shadow straight coin flip. Well, that got me thinking, how likely are the Free People to roll a muster die on the first roll? So that's this math. Because Will of the West can count as a muster, so you have a muster, a hybrid, and a Will of the West, so you have a 50% chance on each die, except Gandalf's just has a muster. It doesn't have a will, and I'm pretty sure it just doesn't have a hybrid. I'm pretty sure I'm right here. So the chances of you not getting a muster on your opening roll in standard is 94, or chances to get a muster or a will on the opening roll is like a 94% chance with standard, and it's almost a 95% chance in loam. So I think a 95% chance we can call that a guaranteed. It's a little worse than that, but we'll round up from the 3% chance to draw aid in time of need. So if the Free Peoples decides to go for this strategy, which by no means am I saying is a good strategy, but if the Free Peoples decides to go with this strategy, they effectively have a 50% chance, more like 45, to awaken King Brand on the first attempt, assuming the Shadow player responds. They have a basically 100% chance if the Shadow player does not attempt to corrupt Brand with their one action between those first two actions. Anyway, that's all I had. Thank you all for watching. I hope you are enjoying your holidays and enjoy Kings of Middle-earth when it comes out. Thank you all very much.